Hey guys, Pookie Bear here, and I am here today to bring you guys the gift of story. That's right, today I am going to be telling a classic story that we all sort of know, retold by myself. Today I'm going to be talking about Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Now, if you're anything like me, you probably grew up with the Disney version, all the singing and the dancing and la-di-da-di-da. That's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. It really surprised me recently when I actually heard the actual story that I'd never heard before. And I think we're all pretty used to older stories, like once you say Grimm fairy tales and the roots of these stories that have been Disneyfied for us. They're actually pretty dark at the base, but I don't know, I just I guess I never heard the Snow White one. Basically, it's weird, and not for the reasons you're thinking. It's hilarious. Once upon a time, there was a kingdom, and this kingdom had a queen who had important things to do all the time, like sit around on her ass and sew. I'm queen, there's not a lot for me to do, I'm just gonna sew. And anyway, she pricks her finger because she's not wearing a thimble. Dumbass. Rather than going and, getting a maidservant or something and, hey, clean this blood up, she fascinatedly is staring at her blood, which is on a windowsill, by the way, where there's all the snow. And she looks at it and she's, huh, dear Mother Satan, one day I hope I have a baby with dark hair and red lips and white skin. And then Mother Satan's like, yes, child, I will take your soul blood sacrifice. And the mother gives birth, and her daughter has all these wonderful features, and then the mother dies because she's going to hell because she sold her soul to Satan. Anyway, that happens. So, la-da-da-da-da, life goes on, little girl grows up, royalty, all that shenanigans, and then her father gets married. Step-parents, right? Well, her father gets remarried to the vainest bitch ever. What a cliche, right? Literally obsessed with her mirror, but it's a magic talking mirror. Anyway, she goes to the mirror every day, whole yada yada. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? And it's always her. She's like, yay, you're pretty. And that's all she does with her life. Sewing, hating children, staring at your mirror all day. I don't know. So, anyway, the queen looks at her mirror one day, and it basically says, yo, bitch, you're getting old. And this other baby's prettier than you because her mother dabbled in Satan. And the witch is outraged, like, what? I'm getting old? That's a thing that happens? Yeah, bitch. She goes to a loyal huntsman. Hello, dear huntsman, I need you to murder my stepdaughter, which is, I swear, what every step-parent is out there to do, by the way. I'm not even kidding you. It's a step-parent thing. The huntsman, he chases Snow White, yada yada, supposed to bring back her lungs and her liver, and blah blah, you're pretty, pretty bitches get everything, so she runs free, lives with some dwarves, and then the queen, she accepts these things, but the funny thing is she doesn't, she's got this magic talking mirror, right, and she's clearly some sort of evil sorceress bitch, and she doesn't do a DNA check at all. She's just like, oh, look, this pig lung and liver, it's totally Snow White's. Really? Couldn't just ask for her head? That would make more sense. So, yeah, anyway, Queen Bitch. Yeah, so Queen Bitch, she goes on and does her thing, and she's still upset. Even though this girl, lives in the most, remote place where no one sees her now, she's still concerned that there's a prettier girl in the world with her, even if no one ever sees her. You're the queen, why do you care about this shit? Anyway, so she hunts her down, dresses up as an old peddler, and doesn't start off by bringing her a poison apple. She brings her a bodice, like clothing, and tightens it so tight that Snow White passes out and then leaves. So this girl is passed out on the ground and you leave her. Your mirror has already told you she's like living with some dwarves or something. Like why do you think she's dead? Like couldn't you just like stab her? Or like push her off a cliff? Like like in movies where somebody walks away from a body and they think it's dead but they didn't like check a pulse or anything and you're like, run, turn around, do something, you're gonna die. It's like it's that same sort of thought. It's like you clearly gone out of your way to kill this girl because you're jealous of her youthfulness, and you don't just make sure she's dead? Apparently not. So, anyway, whatever, life goes on. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? And then the mirror just looks at her and says, no, bitch, not you. Snow White's still fucking alive. You didn't check her body. And the witch is like, you don't say. So then she dresses up like a comb sales lady, and she takes a poison comb because like that's the most logical thing you can do. A poison comb. Like, bitch, you're getting split ends after this. I don't know. There's probably more to that I'm forgetting or not knowing. So she takes this poison comb and she goes to kill Snow White. And shock, surprise, surprise, she doesn't die. And she's just chilling with her dwarf buddies, doing whatever, but she's still naive as ever because honestly she should just stop talking to all these strangers. Anyway, going about her own business when I'm a mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? And it's like, really? You honestly thought that a comb was gonna kill her? Like, you obviously weren't the brightest of them all. So, anyway, then she gets the poison apple idea, and it's that whole shebang. Well, here, take this apple. And Snow White takes food from a stranger and eats it and dies. Well, I think, like, from what I understand from reading it, a considerable amount of time passes. At least that's in the version that I read. It seemed like a chunk of time passed. Maybe it was like 10 minutes, but it seemed to imply to me that in this version that I read, a considerable amount of time passes, and Snow White's body is just like in this glass coffin, and this prince drives by on his horse, and he's like, oh, look at the beautiful dead lady. And no, he doesn't kiss her like in the Disney film. He's like, I'm gonna take that body to my castle with me for some strict investigation. Necrophiliac. Anyway, again, so he moves her coffin and it jostles her some and the poison apple chunk falls out. So apparently the poisonness of this apple did not kill her. She just has some sort of choking induced coma. Like, I don't. So, yada yada. Oh, you're so pretty. Oh, you're so pretty. By the way, Snow White, did I mention to you that I'm like a huge fan of zombie films? And you're like sort of a zombie. Or maybe you're the next Jesus Christ. God shit, I don't know. And so, what does he do? He takes her home and he marries her, and yay, we're gonna be happy. But that's not the end. No. Because the queen's still alive, and the queen, she's like, blah blah blah, mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? And it looks at her and it's like, it ain't you, bitch. No, it's like the fairest of them all. It's that new queen. Again, Are you really surprised that somebody younger than you is hotter? I mean, how long have you been queen now? You know, like women in the olden days, women didn't age too well. You know, I mean, now you can be like, maybe it's Maybelline, but back then it was like, it's just a stench of death. I don't know, it's like, lady, your wrinkles have wrinkles. Alright, so, like I said, some time passes, and then it's the wedding day, and she gets invited. And Snow White's like, hey, look, that bitch, it is clearly my stepmother that tried to murder me. So they put like these really like hot burning shoes on her, and they make her dance to death. Like, like it's not, she doesn't get like this grand like death that makes sense. Like it's not like, oh, let's take her to the dungeon and no. They're like, bitch, every day you're shuffling, and she does until she dies. It's like that one episode of Buffy, you know, the one where they're all singing and there's like that demon that's put a spell on them and they all have to dance. And eventually you dance so hard that you combust into flames, except all the hot stuff is on her feet and she just dies. Now that I think about it, maybe the mother didn't just like summon like awesome beauty techniques and flawless complexion. Maybe she summoned the dancing devil. So anyway, that would be the story of Snow White, in case you hadn't heard it before. And it's a very, very serious thing, yo.